What's up, you rascals? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out, everybody. I appreciate you. It is good to be back, refreshed after a nice vacation. You saw me pop in here and there on the video channel. Going to have a very busy week ahead, so I look forward to seeing y'all here. Thank you guys for checking us on out. McCoachin, dude. Mike McDaniel. Game of the Goosies. I'm not going to lie. So, by the way, very excited, and thank you all to alerted me. I was ignoring this this iPhone update. I always do. I'm always one of the last ones to do it. Goose emoji on the new on the new update. Very happy about it. Very happy about it. But anyway, Mike McDaniel was holding court today over at the old owners meetings. Which, listen, anytime McCoachin's going to sit down there and shoot the bleep and hobnob with people, I'm all for it. I want to hear what McCoachin has to say. Little here, little there. What does Mike McDaniel have to say? But he actually, in no bleep, you guys say, oh, Tobes, you get the goosies about everything. And while true, also doesn't make this one any less valid, because Mike McDaniel was discussing the expectations of this Dolphins team. And I loved his answer so much, just so much of what he had to say about the expectations with this Dolphins team. Take a listen. Lil McCoachin, here's what he had to say.
It does make it more difficult the better your division is, and I think our division is one of the, it appears to be building towards potentially being one of the better divisions in football. You know, I'm careful in the spring to go too much over the top on paper, but I know exactly what you're saying, and I don't disagree. That being said, if your goals in football are not to just get to the playoffs, if your goal isn't to just get to the playoffs, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a very strong division. Granted, it still makes it more difficult to get to the playoffs, but if you are able to, within that very good competitive division, you are much more battle-tested for the games that really, really matter. Because no one wants to just – we lived it once, and one time was enough. Getting to the playoffs is cool. Over that, you want to win. And so playing good teams in the regular season, however, in the front end might seem, oh, that's tough. What else would you want if you're really trying to actually win playoff games, if you're trying to actually get to the AFC Championship, if you're trying to win the AFC Championship, if you're trying to win the Super Bowl, all of those things, you better be a very good team and battle-tested, and our division should help us do that. But it's going to be stressful.
It is going to be stressful. It's going to be fun. And look, obviously is a little elusive there because you don't know about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. But yes, this division, first of all, the division was good last year. It was already a good division. Now you put on top of it the expectations that you have as for the Dolphins. I thought Mike McDaniel came into last year with pressure. You know, Brian Flores was not a bad coach. Brian Flores had back-to-back winning seasons. I thought that Mike McDaniel had pressure last year for this team performance, which is not typically the case with a first-year coach. Usually a first-year coach, you get a honeymoon year, you get to kind of, play around, see what happens that first year. Usually everybody gets that grace first year, unless you're like Nathaniel Hackett, just a complete disaster. But I appreciate the fact that Mike McDaniel is already kind of moved on from the idea of, oh, playoffs, that'd be cute. Because first of all, it doesn't quite have the prestige of just making the playoffs that it used to. If you were a team that made the playoffs, but then if you were made the playoffs, and if you would have made the playoffs, you would have gotten a bye. That would have been different because you would have at least gone to that, gotten that foothold in that first round. So I do think that the Dolphins just making the play. If you told me the Dolphins just make the playoffs next year and don't win a playoff game, something they haven't done, by the way, in 20 plus years. We're talking since 2000, the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game. If you're telling me the Dolphins just get to the playoffs next year and they get bounced again in the first round, even if it's against even if it is the 2 seed, let's say, if they were just being as a wild card, or if they were, a higher seed and hosted the playoff game and then lost. Yeah, I do think that's a disappointment. This is a team that has essentially put in their window to go all in. They've traded a ton of draft capital. They've handed out a lot of big contracts. They do not have their quarterback currently extended. He's currently on a rookie deal still. which is always a vital thing when you're trying to build a winner. Something else that he touched on a little bit today about the advantages of being able to do that. But I absolutely, I'm happy to hear that Mike McDaniel is putting the expectations high. Now, look, he's also right in that, like, this division is going to probably make this a very battle-tested year. You think about, we all, saw last year a Jets team that looked like they were about a competent quarterback away from looking like something, maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but a good team. And I think in a lot of ways you could probably say the same thing about the Patriots. And I don't know if everybody's seeing the new Lamar Jackson fodder. Obviously requested a trade today, or made it public that he had requested a trade earlier in the month. And, I don't know if there's Patriots smoke, but there's Patriots fodder, and Robert Kraft is saying, like, Meek Mills reached out to him and said that he wants to be on the Patriots. And I know that, and it's going to be an interesting dynamic if that does happen. Yeah, you're going to have a Lamar Jackson on the Patriots, Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, the Bills being what they are, and then your team. That's a stacked-ass division, dude. Now, it doesn't mean you can't win the Super Bowl and you can't win a lot of games. Like, look, the Philadelphia Eagles were in a pretty deep division last year in the NFC East, and they were able to have a pristine record and were able to get to the Super Bowl, nearly won the damn thing. So it shouldn't affect you. I mean, it shouldn't be looked upon as this, like, they won't be able to get through the gauntlet. Like, no, you got to, like Mike says, you got to go and you got to be battle tested. You got to win the games that maybe you're not supposed to win, or win the games that are challenging. And it should get you ready for that situation of the postseason. But yeah, it is going to be a week where every week, honestly, you could, if this was the case, if you were to get Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers into the AFC East, you could make a case that every AFC divisional game should be a national television game, which is kind of the case with the NFC East a lot of the times between their game of the week. And so, like, they put the NFC East on a lot. It's a lot of New York Giants, guys. I mean, a lot of New York Giants you shove down our throats, especially down here in South Florida, which is another story for another day. But this team, if you were to tell me that they just make the playoffs this year and they don't get over that hump, that 23-year hump of winning a postseason game, I think a lot of fans would look at that as a disappointment. I certainly think the owner would, and look, things can happen. I'm not, the Dolphins, again, don't have Tua, but I'm saying, like, let's do on paper, all right? On a legal pad, dude, the Dolphins as constructed with their quarterback, who Mike McDaniel referred to today as an elite distributor of the football. If he has his elite distributor of the football out there with these weapons and a run game that he endorsed again today and an offensive line that he believes will improve, all of this stuff on paper, and you bring in Vic Fangio with the biggest name defensive coordinator there could be, the best money could buy, along with Jalen Ramsey and all the other tools that you have here and guys that are right to a T with the defensive coordinator, all of that stuff. It is all in line for this team to go out there and contend. Not be cute, not be a nice story. The Dolphins should carry themselves and go into this year as a contender. That is it. That is not hyperbole. That is definitely the case. And every fan base, everybody in this fan base should have that expectation that this Dolphins team, I would say, honestly, you should look at it and be like, no, but you should be like, yeah, you look at this roster and you look at where they were last year and expectations, and your coach is telling you, yeah, I'm expecting, like, damn, you better make the conference finals with that kind of talk. Like, it's always crazy to just say, oh, Super Bowl or bust, because that feels like a pipe dream. Like, maybe you'll get there. It's very much like the Canes being in the Final Four. It's like, wow, they're back in the Elite Eight again. Like, all right, maybe Final Four this time. But yeah, the Dolphins getting to the conference finals should definitely be, I think, an expectation. I think that definitely should be something that Stephen Ross should be expecting with the money that he's dished out, with the quarterback, having the support that he has and now having the weapons that he has. You look at this team and you're like, what are the real weaknesses of this team on paper? What are the real weaknesses? You'd be like, tight end, right tackle, like weaknesses, detriments. Not could be a little bit better, not could tweak and get every team has that. Every team is going to have places where I'm saying, like, what are the real pitfalls of this team? They don't have a lot. Okay, this team is pretty well put together, and has put a lot of resources into their roster, and has gone out there and brought in a lot of star power for their team. Which, by the way, great answer from him when he was asked about how he's going to handle all the star power today.
What is your plan to sort of manage this collection of star players with big personalities?
My plan is I have to be a bigger star than them.
Exactly, dude. And you may say he's joking, but in a lot of ways, I don't think that he is. And I think that we also, we got to see some growth from Mike McDaniel as well. We got to see that game management be in a better spot. We have to see him get his team to clean some things up after the penalties they had last year, the illegal formations, the illegal receiver down feet, all of that stuff needs to get cleaned up going into they can't shoot themselves in the foot, man. Can't shoot themselves in the foot, but you have to look at it. And in AFC, I understand it is stacked. So you may say, Tobes, what a ridiculous thing to say. You think the Dolphins, if they don't make the conference finals, it's a bust season. Maybe I'll feel different when the season comes. I'm just saying, if I get to do my wide angle on this whole thing, and we're all sitting here and we believe that this team is stacked with the best two receivers, the best receiving tandem in the league, maybe now has the best cornerback tandem in the league, and has a monster pass rush, has monsters up front and Sealer and Wilkins, and again, like, outside of tight end, you don't really look at this team and say weaknesses all over the place. No, I think it's a totally fair thing to come out here and say, yeah, just getting to the playoffs, is that enough for this Dolphins team? No, it's not anymore. Mike McDaniel's right about that. That just a playoff berth for this, if they don't make the playoffs, catastrophe. If they just make the playoffs, yeah, that's a disappointment.